In 732, Muslims defeat the Franks at the Battle of Tours. This defeat of the Franks places the Muslims in a position to conquer all of Aquitaine. Beyond this though, it's unlikely they'd go on to conquer much of Europe. Instead, there would be mutual raiding and some exchanging of territories. At some point, the Islamic Caliphate would split up, and the idea of a unified Islamic opposition would go away. With Aquitaine separated from Iberia by the Pyrenees, and the Visigoths of that region still resisting Islamic occupation, it's unlikely a unified Islamic state could be maintained in Western Europe. This defeat at Tours would weaken the Franks, but France was still the epicenter of northwestern European civilization, so it's likely we'd still see a similar political entity dominating much of that region. However, giving Aquitaine a chance of surviving, the weakened state of the Frankish Kingdom leads to it becoming much more fractured and divided than in our current timeline. In this climate, some European nobility would put aside religion and form political alliances of convenience with Aquitaine, just as happened in Iberia in our current timeline. Northern Spain would still push back the Caliphate of Cordoba, further isolating Aquitaine. With a large Christian population, this Islamic state would be weakened by internal rebellion and lose territory to small wars between the various Frankish kingdoms. But the Franks would also continue to push the Muslims out of northeastern Iberia, and it's possible Aquitaine would even help with this endeavour if there are tensions between the various Islamic states. Ultimately, the Arab conquests were much like the Mongol ones and all other nomadic empires, initially very large and impressive, but quick to rupture and leaving behind many vestiges struggling to maintain any core sense of their initial identity. As such, it's unlikely that an Islamic Aquitaine could survive outside of being incredibly lucky. Eventually it would be subsumed into France. The interesting question is how this delay to France's full unification would weaken it in contrast to its long-term rival, England. England and France didn't interact much at this point in history, but that would start to happen in the later Middle Ages. Check the comments if you're interested in part 2 of this alternative history series.